So this is the tea that I'm going to be drinking. It's apple cinnamon spice. It's really good. So if you've never had it, maybe try it out. I'm just going to finish making my tea and then I'll start the main portion of my video. Hello and welcome to a new video and my first episode for Tea Talk, which is the struggles of a writer and some writing advice. So before I get into the main portions of this video, I'm going to go over some news updates and then I'll get into the other portions, the other larger portions of this video. So as you know, if you've seen my other videos, I did a lot of re-uploads and edited some of them just so I could put on some on-screen features for different topics and things that I discuss, such as the three most important things for creating authentic characters. But yeah, I just decided to, change up my videos a bit, and I also wanted to change up my thumbnails so that they follow my author branding and all of that. So that's why I made a couple changes and did all those re-uploads. But aside from that, I managed to finish the second draft of The Pack of Freedom, my Christian and historical fiction novella, and it's much better than the first copy. I'm really pleased with how it turned out and the additions that I added into it, because it is a little different than the first copy. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same. I just added a couple new things in it, like for example in the beginning with Millie, how she feels like a curse to the family. So that's something a little different that I added into the beginning of the story. But as I said, I'm planning to send it to a professional editor soon. I also have been working on episode 3, which thankfully I am almost done with finally. I still kept the same scenario of them going to the fair, so it ended up working out, thankfully. I struggled with, figuring out how to go about this episode, so I just prayed to try to figure this episode out, because I just really didn't know what to put in it, being that I never been to the New York State Fair. So I just kind of drew from my own experiences of going to the fair, and I did a little bit of research on the New York State Fair as well to kind of help me with it. But the episode is almost done, and I think I want to try to post it up sometime this month before April is gone. But after that, though, I think I'm going to hold off on putting up episode 4 until I've done a whole lot of brainstorming on different things for the series and the time periods, and a lot of brainstorming of new episode ideas. I've kind of started that too in a Get mind map. So that's something else that I've been working on. And I also have been in the process of working on a short story, which I'm planning to have for free for those who signs up to my Risen Halo Book Club newsletter. And I've been working on that. I'm thinking of having that be my project for Camp Nano in July. So I may be doing some weekly vlogs while I work on that particular story. I don't want to really get all into detail of it, but maybe I'll share a little bit more of what this short story is about. Um, the only thing I'm going to say is that it is about a particular family, and the father of the family dies, pretty much. So that's all I'm going to share about that. But those are just a couple updates on things that's been going on since my writing blog video of December of last year. Now I'm just going to get into the struggles of a writer portion. As we know, for being a writer, a lot of people, they don't really respect writing as being an occupation. For most people, they look at it as a hobby or something to just pass the time. But it is possible, to actually make a living from writing. And proof of it is just seeing, those authors who are traditionally published, such as J.K. Rowling and Karen Kingsbury, for example, who's a well-known Christian fiction author if you've never heard of her. But there are some successful self-published authors as well. But when you do self-publish, there is a lot more work involved when you're self-publishing, as those of us who are self-published authors and writers know. A lot of the responsibilities falls on the shoulders of the author, and you just really have to work hard to reach a level of financial stability if you want to be a full-time author, or if you are one. I know it's going to take some time, but I believe that someday I will reach this point. But I appreciate those who are authentic about their author careers, because as we know, those who are best-selling authors, some of them do portray like a lifestyle on social media, like everything is perfect for them, and like everything is going well for them. But I really do appreciate those who are just authentic and show the good and bad days, such as Sarah Cannon, for example. Even though she's a best-selling author, she still shows that sometimes that she has a hard time to like the rest of us who aren't best-selling authors, so, yeah. But when you put yourself in a vulnerable state, some people do judge you for it. They might think that you're depressed or something. But I mean, having ups and downs is just a part of life, I don't think there's anybody who's always smiling and happy all the time, 365 days a year, so, and I've had enough events in my life to know to get up again, I don't believe in staying down, and, yeah, if anything, people should be encouraging and not judgmental. It costs nothing to be kind to someone, regardless of one's race, background, or disability. Because you just never know what's going on in somebody's life. Not long ago, my sister's neighbor, he actually committed suicide, and he shot himself. She said that he was a nice person, and he used to walk his dog and whatnot, but apparently, he was going through some things, so, yeah. It just pays to be kind, to other people. But anyways, I'm just going to go to the next section of my video, which is advice for writers. And the first thing is like pretty generic, which is pretty much just don't give up. I think the true test of whether someone is really a writer is when they can't give up. They might get frustrated with their writing craft or work in progress, but if you can't give up, even if you try to give up, then you're definitely a writer in my eyes. I know I've been there. When I was younger, I had a big black trash bag and was just throwing a lot of my material that I wrote in it, composition books, binders of things, and whatnot that I wrote. But then I thought back of why I began writing in the first place and how I was writing, because I enjoyed the craft, and it wasn't really to get any popularity or praise or anything. So, yeah. The next thing is to be patient with yourself. I know since this COVID-19 pandemic started that a lot of writers' creativity has been disturbed, and some is still disturbed as a result of this whole event that just bombarded the world. But just be patient with yourself. It may just not be a good time for you to write. Maybe you just need to take a break. Maybe try some other creative outlets like drawing or something. One thing I like to do in free time is just to color in adult coloring books. I think it's just relaxing and therapeutic in a way. But yeah, just take a break if you need to. Don't try to force it, because you can't draw from an empty well, you know. Maybe read some books that inspire you or watch some movies. One thing that might be helpful is if you watch movies and play the subtitles. That's something that I like to do sometimes when I'm getting inspiration, is to just watch movies and play the subtitles so that I can see the language and the dialogue on the screen. I think it's a really fun thing, seeing the subtitles as the actors are speaking in the movie. But, yeah. The next thing is encourage yourself, like the song by Donna Lawrence and the Tri-City Singers. If you don't know who they are, it's a gospel group, but don't rely on others to encourage you, because many people are more quick to criticize and look down on you than to lift you up. And especially if they don't understand you and your vision or visions, if you have more than one, as myself, for yourself. So, which brings me to the next thing, to just keep focus on your vision. No matter what others say or think, just stay committed to your vision for yourself, or visions, again, if you have more than one. People doubt what they don't see, it's just human nature. But keep believing and working toward your vision until it's manifested. And once it's manifested, then you will get a newfound respect from other people. And but just make sure that you do it for yourself and not to show off or to prove anything to anyone. That's why I want to do what I want to do. I just want to be able to prove to myself that I can make it. I don't really care about proving anything to anybody else. But yeah, something else to keep in mind though is just, if you have a lot of plans and things that just really take time, don't really share a whole lot about it before these plans and things materialize, because some people, they will crush your dreams, and you really don't need that negativity. So, um, in some cases, it really is a good thing to just work privately. And according to statistics, people are more likely to accomplish um, their goals by working privately than if they tell too many people about it. So, yeah. The next couple of things is just um, some tips from a TED Talk that I watched some time ago, and then I just recently watched it again this year by Zane Asher, who is a British and Nigerian CNN news anchor. She was a former receptionist and just taking calls and serving water to her boss. But I think the video that she discussed, which I'm going to link below if you're interested in watching it, I think it's really good encouragement to anybody that just wants to accomplish something, and especially for Black women, because, you know, out of all the um, racial groups and categories, we're faced with the most challenges out of everybody. Black women are. And we have to work twice as hard to get where we want to be in life. That's just how it is for us. And I really think that her video is just encouraging and inspiration. And if you're a Black writer, it may be encouraging to you because there are some racial disparities in the publishing world, whether we want to accept it or not. That's just how it is. If it wasn't the case, then there wouldn't be a need for African Americans just to have their own rewards for their skills and abilities to be recognized. So it's just was really encouraging, to see her video. And some of the things that she mentioned, I wrote down in my brown journal. And the first thing she mentioned was to trust your struggle, which means to believe that your hardships will work for the common good, regardless of what you may be faced with or what limitations that you have. Believe that it's all going to work for the common good in the end, and that eventually you will reach your goals. She also mentioned create what you want, and that pretty much means to just don't compete for what you want, just create it. Whatever you want to do, work to make it happen. And she also mentioned turning a blind eye to competition. Don't compare yourself to others, because as Zane Asher said, which I find to be true because I used to be compare a lot when I was younger and just starting out. But she said that when you compare, all it does is just bring up fears and insecurities and just hinders your progress, which I really believe to be true. That's why I had felt certain ways when I was younger and thought to just throw some of my things away. But yeah, if you're a beginner and just starting out, it's inaccurate for you to compare your first chapter of your first story to some best-selling author's 10-book series, for example. That's not an accurate, it's an inaccurate comparison for you to even make that comparison. To compare it to somebody who's already been out there for years before you, so don't compare yourself to others. I think one thing that causes some of us who are, who are beginners or who are self-published authors, and we see these other traditionally published authors, I think a major reason is because of how some of these best-selling authors are talked about in the news or in their new release book trailers or whatnot that you see, it's just exaggerations, you know. For example, like some sort of statement like the novel that everybody is reading about, for example, or America's favorite author or something like that. All these different boasting exaggerations are not realistic, you know, so you really shouldn't pay much attention to those sorts of statements and compare yourself based on that, because it's not really realistic. Just because they say these certain things doesn't mean they're true. I mean, like for the example, the novel everyone's talking about, everybody's not talking about this particular author's novel, you know. It might be a lot of people that are, but it doesn't mean that everybody is, you know, for example. So don't really get caught up in the whole comparison thing. Something else that she mentioned is something that she was told, which is the more that you give, the more you receive. But she also mentioned to just don't give to receive back, because sometimes you may be disappointed by others. I know that's true because it's happened to me. Everybody won't reciprocate what you do for them, even if they can. And that's just the kind of world that we live in. But even if it doesn't come back to you, it can come back from somebody else, you know, or some other opportunity that may come your way. So it's still good to, you know, to be a giver. It might not always feel that way, especially to us who are INFJs, who are prone to giving and who are prone to, you know, people taking advantage of us and getting used to us giving and stuff. But it can come back to you in return, even if it's through just an opportunity that falls into your lap. And the last thing that she mentioned was success comes when opportunity meets preparation, which pretty much means to prepare yourself and believe an opportunity will come your way. Don't wait for an opportunity to come. Prepare yourself before the opportunity comes, pretty much is what she was saying. And she used the example of her brother, who played the leading role in 12 Years a Slave as Solomon, and how he used to practice Shakespeare when he was younger before he started getting acting roles. But those are all the different things that she mentioned in the TED Talk. Once again, I am going to link her speech below if you're interested in watching it. And some of the last advice that I have is things that I just wrote myself. The first being, realize that other success doesn't determine or define your own. A lot of people, they judge you based on their own success, and they look down on you if you aren't moving as fast as them, because society at a large, societal norms, is that people want a quick fix and speedy results. We see it on television, on YouTube, social media, in books, almost everywhere. But those of us, you know, who are more intuitive, we go against societal norms, and a lot of people don't really understand that about us. So, yeah, we just think differently, and we mentally process things. We take our time, you know, with doing things. We appreciate quality over quantity, and yeah, that's just how we are, you know. And so those of us who are INFJs, for example, we don't just admire an object at hand, like the outside of it, but we want to know how it operates on the inside, and the gears and compartments of how it's put together, pretty much. I'm thankful that I'm, you know, the type of person who likes to research things. It doesn't really matter what it is, but I am a researcher. I like to find out information for myself instead of depending on somebody else to tell me. That's just the kind of person that I am. Um, a lot of people don't really like to take the time to like investigate and read about things. They just want to go and do them. That's just the type of society that we live in. But it really is good to, do your research, especially when you're going into things like business, because there is a lot to it and the responsibilities and everything, and you want to make sure that you do things right so that you don't get in trouble, with the IRS or anything. So that's why I just like to research things. But anyways, the last thing is just to show yourself some grace. Understand that building a successful career as a self-published author or writer takes time and it takes longer than other careers, but stay encouraged and just don't be too hard on yourself. I know that can be a easy thing to do at times, especially when you fall back into that nagging comparison again. But yeah, just show yourself some grace and be patient with yourself. If writing is something that you really want to get into, like as far as fiction writing and stuff, and self-publishing, then do your research. Watch YouTube videos, read books, practice the craft, and just, you know, just show yourself some grace and be patient with yourself. One channel that I do like to watch is Self-Publishing with Dale, because he's always updating those of us who are self-published authors or are interested in self-publishing. He's always updating what's going on in the self-publishing industry or book industry. And he also has a lot of videos about the quality of books in different online retailers like Amazon, KDP, and Barnes & Noble, for example. And yeah, his channel is just a really good channel to subscribe to if you haven't heard of him. I'm going to link his channel below if you're interested. And yeah, and I have this book here that I started reading some time ago and just put tabs in, which is called The Complete Guide to Self-Publishing, Everything You Need to Know to Write, Publish, Promote, and Sell Your Own Book. It's by Marilyn Ross and Sue Collier. I'll have this book linked below if you're interested in getting a copy of this. It has a lot of different tips and things that you can try, things that you might not even have thought of doing to help with your promotion. They have in this book. So you might want to consider getting a copy, of this book, because it may give you some new ideas of different things that you can try out. So I'll have this book again linked below if you're interested in getting a copy of this. And that's pretty much it for this video. My next tea talk I may do in the fall or maybe in the winter. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I forgot to mention that if you're interested, the ebook is 99 cents now of my debut novel, Eva's Promise. But if you're kind of skeptical of like getting a copy, then you can sign up to my newsletter and you'll be able to read a free sample of the prologue and the first 3 chapters of Eva's Promise before purchasing the book. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Please like and subscribe. I hardly ever say subscribe. I know a lot of people get annoyed by that being constantly said. That's why I hardly ever say it. But maybe if I say it more and more, people would subscribe to my channel. I don't know. But that's pretty much it for this video, and thank you for watching.